a lapse in time? So let me preface this by saying I had swimming lessons exclusively at 7:30 a.m. What a start, am I right? In summer 2011, I had possibly the only unexplainable experience I have ever had. It was late at night, 11 p.m. maybe, and my family and I were in the living room watching Ren and Stimpy on the TV. I fall asleep in the living room, wake up at maybe 4:30 a.m., and they're all still there, like no time has passed. Then I go to my friend Brett's house, and mind you, it is 4:30 a.m., and I guess I was allowed? His family was awake, and another one of my friends, Kurt, was there as well. Everything is strange as it's 4:30 a.m. in late July, and everyone seems to be up and alert as if it's 8 p.m., which I still don't understand. No strange occurrences happen there, but what really makes this timeline weird is after a couple of hours, my brother comes to Brett's house to get me for my swimming lessons, which I mentioned at the beginning are at 7:30 a.m., making this timeline seemingly impossible. We had never hung out before 9 a.m., let alone everyone being awake and functioning. It's almost like a warp in time, and everyone collectively ignored their circadian rhythm and just didn't sleep. It wasn't a dream because, well, I went to swim that morning, and the rest of my life has been canonically correct or normal since then, so I have no explanation. I just don't understand how it seemed like no time passed from the time where I fell asleep in the living room, and why I was allowed to go to his house, why they were awake, and just why everything was the way it was. This is 100% truthful. By all means, if anyone can give me any logical explanation, please do. I've been thinking about this periodically for almost 15 years now. How old were you, and have you asked your friend or your family about it? I was 7, maybe just turned 8. I haven't asked anyone about it as I'm no longer friends with the people in which I visited, and I don't live with that family. I suppose I could ask, it just sounds weird as hell, and it doesn't seem like anyone missed a beat, let alone mentally noted it. Was it dark when you woke up and went to your friend's house? I'm wondering if maybe it happened in the afternoon, but you have a false memory of the timeline since it was 15 years ago. Also, do you remember what they were watching on TV? That could be a way to confirm the time. This is such a wild story that I really have to focus down my questions in order to keep a coherent timeline of events. The main issues I'm wondering about are how they found it to be 4:30 a.m. when they woke up. Being a child at the time, it's an understandable explanation to think that they looked at a clock and either misread it or the clock could have been broken. Even if the clock was vastly out of time, however, the real timeline would still have to occur at night around 11 p.m., which would still be an extremely unusual time to visit a friend's house to hang out, especially knowing they had to go to swim practice so early the next morning. It seems there are many twisted issues here. I asked the storyteller how they knew it was 4:30, and they responded, "Great question. It's not a concrete time, just based on how the sky looked in July. Way too dark for it to be 5 to 6 a.m. Setting aside the exact time, the next point of contention for me is the family, who for all other respects are behaving normally. So, are they experiencing the same time slip as our storyteller, or are the two parties somehow out of phase? How did the family react to the storyteller in those strange early hours?" I also asked one more question. Was it your decision to go to your friend's house after you woke up, or did a family member suggest to take you? Were they behaving normally? When I woke up, it was my conscious choice to go. I was confused as to why no time had passed, and it felt right to go there for some reason. I was allowed, and I remember a conversation between my mother and I. Hours later, at 7 a.m., my brother came to get me for my swimming lessons at 7:30, and canonically everything has been normal since. I can't remember what show was playing when I woke up, but I'm sure it was some one-off late-night Nickelodeon show. I tend to agree with the storyteller when they say that it wasn't a dream. People are usually pretty good at identifying what was a dream in hindsight, and it's rare to question your dream environment as much as our storyteller did in this case. Most of the time, a dream is left unquestioned and on autopilot. It's good news that the storyteller remembers the year and month that this experience happened. Hopefully, it makes it easier to ask their family about the events and see if any new information can be dug up. How to stop my magnetic field from crashing electronics. This problem has plagued me for 30 plus years, and I'm getting pretty fed up. I thought I was crazy for thinking I was affecting electronics, but it's happened so frequently that it can't be a coincidence. There are far too many instances to list. They happen several times a month, some as minor as static at fast food speakers and on phone calls, but when others use the same device, it's fine. Here are a few examples. One time during job training, every computer I sat at would crash and flash a bright red screen. They switched me to 5 different ones, then someone else would sit at it and it would be fine. 2 years ago, I had to be taken away from work in an ambulance because of a mini stroke. While they were hauling me away, all of the printers in the office crashed, and electronics went berserk for about an hour after I was gone. More recently, I've had to call several doctors and insurance companies because I need to have a surgery done. In 5 out of 7 calls, the representative would tell me, "Hang on, my computer's acting funny, I'll have to put you on hold." 3 of those I had to call back because the person's computer completely stopped working. I don't understand how my energy field could even have effects over the phone. At work today, my landline phone ghost called my manager's voicemail and said I was on the line for 14 minutes. I hadn't even touched my phone in a few hours. I'm getting very nervous because I'm going in for laparoscopic surgery in a few weeks, and I'm frightened that I'll crash the robotic system that leads the surgery. I've heard that stress can cause this, but it's not like I can just magically erase all the stress in my life. Does anyone know how to block this excessive energy field I must have? This would be an interesting phenomenon to be able to study due to its physical effects, but without further study, it's hard to say why this person is plagued with some sort of electromagnetic field. There are so many possibilities to narrow down, from the types of devices affected to the range and the mindset and after effects. This is a terrifying reminder that not all paranormal events can be safely observed. Sometimes it might be better left undisturbed because it could have real negative effects on your life and well-being. Hematite and shungite are both very effective at neutralizing magnetic fields. You can also try copper. That's interesting because I've always been drawn to hematite ever since I was little. The bizarre part is it sometimes heats up on my skin if I'm wearing hematite jewelry. One of my favorite necklaces left a temporary red mark because it got so warm. This was the middle of winter and outdoors. If you're wearing natural rubber sole shoes, they can generate a lot of static, which can disrupt electronics when you discharge nearby. This was a major problem for me during some of the most stressful times in my adult life. One day, as I was causing the AC to go out of yet another rental house, a wise friend suggested instead of trying to control the energy, but just to ask to join it. There was no ritual, no special spell. I was actually quite irritated and just said out loud, "I feel you, I experience you, You're recognized and I would like to join with you. And then that heat I always felt inside during these episodes just stopped. I had no more issues with computers, monitors, watches, etc. Sometimes now, when I'm talking on the cell phone, if I'm really agitated or upset about something, it will glitch or drop calls. That is a flag to me that if I actually want to get my point out and across to the person on the other line, I have to take some deep breaths and calm down. So, what worked for me was being aware that these things happened, and being agitated just made everything else worse. I've had similar experiences, though to a lesser extent, and I also have experienced street lamp interference, which I think is related. I don't know what causes this, and I wish I could be more helpful, but I have some thoughts. My experiences have decreased over the years as I've learned better emotional regulation. It started with noticing that breathing exercises helped calm down the activities. Now, many years later, I've done a lot of emotional work and healing, and these electromagnetic and street light things happen less and less. So, apparently, street light interference, as one person mentioned, is a whole phenomenon that's gained some popularity and a small community surrounding it. It seems like this is a whole rabbit hole in and of itself, so I'm not going to go into the details, but whether this is a connected phenomenon is hard to say. This was Dante Calvino. Let me know what you thought of the format for these stories, or if you have one of your own to tell. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more mystery every week.